Tiwanaku Puma Punku Giants and Advanced Ancient Civilization? One of the rarely published or focused upon ancient cities in the archaeological world of mainstream media is ancient city of Tiwanaku and its counterpart Puma Punku, situated in the Bolivian Andes. An iconic site for the ancient alien theorist, or should I say those that think outside of religious teachings and the ancient archaeological timeline. These cities or city were built in what is recognized as the Stone Age, but Puma Punku shows stonework that cannot be produced today by master stonemasons. Tiwanaku. One archaeologist, Dr. Edmund Kiss, spent 9 years carrying out research in the highlands of the Andes, found the gateway to the Sunday cut from a single andesite block weighing 10 tons. It stands 12 foot high and 13 foot long. For Edmund Kiss, the engravings upon it represented a calendar. This calendar could read the solstice, the equinoxes, every day of the year, the position of the moon every hour, and all the data took into account the rotation of the earth. The gateway to the sun. Kiss insisted the people who invented the calendar belonged to a higher civilization than ours. And it was incontrovertible scientific evidence. According to his calculations, Tiwanaku was built around 27,000 years BC. Modern archaeologists date the site around 15,000 BC, still in the Stone Age, and have also documented the calendar on the gateway to the Sunday. In the sunken temple of Tiwanaku there are 100+ faces carved in stone around the walls. Amongst these are two that appear to represent the great aliens. The faces of man. One of the two great alien heads. Puma Punku. This archaeological site is a paradox in itself. Made up of diorite and andesite blocks believed by modern archaeologists to have been cut some 60 kilometers away. The Puma Punku site looks as if there was a massive explosion that blew it apart. Some of the blocks are up to 26 feet long and weigh up to 136 tons, and cut with such precision that they cannot be replicated with modern technology. Puma Punku. There are right angle edges, dovetail joints, perfectly straight lines, interlocking blocks, drill holes precisely spaced apart, and of course the H blocks, which are so precisely cut that they all measure up identically, and the rekis are where the dovetail and interlocking joints are found. The surfaces have been honed and polished. This type of stonework is unique on this earth and is not found at any other archaeological site on this earth. This is also evidence of a sophisticated level of planning and construction, and shows a great intelligence, possibly far greater than our own. Brian Forster, author of The Enigma of Tiwanaku and Puma Punku, described the blocks like a giant Lego pieces that all interlock together. This brings questions to mind. How did ancient man, using primitive tools, at best made from copper, cut these stones? How did they transport the gigantic stone blocks and move them into place? These sites are found 20,000 feet above sea level, which is well above the tree line, so the log rolling to transport stone blocks theory falls by the wayside. The legends. The legends of the Bolivian locals say that Tiwanaku, the great creator god of the Inca ''s. Rose up from the depths of Lake Titicaca to create the sun and the stars and mankind. He went to Tiwanaku and brought civilization to that part of the world. He then went to Puma Punku and made men and women from stone and took them to the four corners of the earth to spread their seed. Another legend says that Puma Punku was constructed in a night by giants, and that the stone blocks were moved by the sound of a trumpet after a great cataclysm and flood. Yes, there has been evidence found in the region that suggests a global flood of biblical proportions. There are sea sediments to be found at 2.5 miles above sea level near the site. Rest assured, there has been technology researched that proves through the vibration you can levitate objects of mass. This experiment was first done by a Canadian researcher, John Hutchinson, hence the name the Hutchinson effect. He was an interesting researcher who also talked about zero-point energy. Here's an excellent interview with him, explains this effect and zero-point energy. Fuente Magna Bowl. Now this is where modern archaeologists like to ignore the discovery, as this blows the ancient archaeological timeline apart, discovered by a farmer by Lake Titicaca near Tiwanaku and Puma, Punku in the 1950s. It is a ceramic bowl that contains Sumerian cuneiform texts and also Proto-Sumerian hieroglyphs. Evidence that people on opposite sides of the world were in contact with each other in the Stone Age. Stone Age people were not seafarers, at best had canoes. What or how could cuneiform text used by the ancient people of Sumer and Proto-Sumerian text be found in the Bolivian Andes on the other side of the world? The translation of the Fuente Magna Bowl can be found online. Statues. While researching this article, I came across an amazing photograph of the statues at Puma Punku ruins. I honestly don't know what it is, but I do know what it resembles. I'll leave this for you to come to your own conclusion. Puma Punku statue. Giants. For those that think giants are just a myth, I'll give you a few ancient text references. Let's start with the Bible. Genesis 6-4, Samuel chapters 4-7, the book of Joshua, book of Chronicles. The Greek ancient sagas, for example Homer's Odyssey, the Agnatica and Hercules, all speak of giants. The apocryphal texts with the book of Enoch and the book of Baruch Gilgamesh. The Sumerian cuneiform texts. The Papal view of the Kashmaya. There are many more. Okay, what about scientific evidence? Paleontologist Wolf-Dieter Heinrich from the Berlin Museum for Natural History found petrified remains from the late Jurassic period in the famous Dendakaru fossil layers in Tanzania. Evolutionist biologist Professor Robert Martin from the Field Museum of National History in Chicago conducted molecular genetic testing and confirmed humans and other primates evolved around 90 million years ago. Accordingly, the ancestors of gorillas, chimpanzees and humans lived side by side with the dinosaurs and really only began their evolution after the dinosaurs' extinction. There is a lot more evidence that has been discovered that points towards giants roaming the earth. Here is a previous article I wrote on this subject. Summary. This article's research has been interesting to say the least. Whether you're an ancient alien theorist, historian, religious theologist or just an archaeological researcher, all must admit something very important and highly advanced was happening at Tiwanaku and Puma Punku in the distant past. With planning and engineering outside the apparent abilities of our ancestors or modern-day man. It reminded me of the cargo cults of the Pacific War, where American armed forces arrived on the Pacific Islands to find tribal people. They enlisted their help clearing the forest for runways and traded food and modern trinkets for their services. When the war finally finished, the soldiers left, taking their machinery, planes, with them. A few years later, expeditions arrived at these islands and found the tribal people praying to wooden effigies of the planes that brought the food and other modern luxuries to the tribal people. Cargo cult. Which makes me wonder, are we an extraterrestrial cargo cult? No one really knows. What I do know is that this is all ignored by the mainstream archaeological timeline. The archaeological site is dated in the Stone Age and has had excavation and some rebuilding at Tiwanaku. This is undeniable evidence of highly advanced engineer skills at work. A civilization with worldwide contact. And more stories of giants on this earth. Originally I wrote this article to focus primarily on the cities, but the more you look into these ancient places, the more I find stories of giants.